Thank you. I appreciate that introduction. You gave it just like I wrote it. Thanks to Family Research Council, Watchmen on the Wall, Dick Bott, Rich Bott, Paul Snyder is here. Thank you for inviting a lawyer to your meeting. I married a Lutheran girl in New Market, Virginia. We've been married 50 years. We were married in an Episcopal church. I was raised in the Methodist church. I was lay leader at Kingsway Methodist here in Springfield. And now I attend Hope Community Church. Pastor Gary Hay is here. James River Assembly of God, Pastor John Lindell. And I'm a member of Second Baptist, Pastor John Marshall.
Amen.
Kind of like the dying man at the intersection that was hit by a large truck. And the priest walks over to him and says, "Son, do you renounce the devil and all his works?" And the dying man looks up and said, "Father, at a time like this, I don't want to antagonize anyone." Once I was introduced some years ago as the best prosecuting attorney that money could buy. I'm a real dangerous Christian. I eat at Chick-fil-A.
Amen.
I shop at Hobby Lobby. I pray and thank God every day for another day. And I attend church every Sunday. And yes, I'm a lawyer. I became interested in projects such as getting Christmas on the calendar of our public schools. And I worked with 100 or more school systems in the state of Missouri who have removed Christmas off their calendar. I've been successful in a number of those schools to get Christmas back on the calendar. And then I noted that our national motto, "In God We Trust," needed to be posted at county courthouses and city halls throughout the land. And I'm happy to say that with the grace of God, I've been able to convince 100 counties and cities in the state of Missouri to post the words, "In God We Trust." And now with the Greece, New York U.S. Supreme Court case, we're interested in making sure that all city councils and all aldermen pray before their official meetings, which is now legal. So there are loopholes in the law today, and you have to use them. If you don't use them, you will lose them.
That's right.
So we have a number of projects, and the big project right now is in this community, the national headquarters for the largest Pentecostal church in the world, Springfield, Missouri. We have a big election coming up on the 7th, April the 7th, and that concerns the sexual orientation and gender identity law. And of course, there's been a master plan, which in your communities, I'm sure, and those of you from this area, you may not be aware of the fact that the Mayor's Commission on Human Rights here has a master plan. And in that master plan, the actual wording of it is unbelievable. All licensed businesses, I kid you not, all licensed businesses in this city, of which there's 2,000, all of them will have to have a diversity representative. Now this is according to the master plan, so you got to look and see where the focus and the agenda is as to where the LGBT community is headed. So all businesses, licensed businesses, will have to, and that includes if you have one employee, you're a business. The EEOC federal law exempts you if you have 15 or less, but not in Springfield. In Springfield, they want every licensed business to have a diversity representative who has to be certified and have training and will be monitored. You will be monitored and checked. The city, I'm not finished here, has decided that they will teach all of our school children, public school children in the R12 school system here, will teach them diversity training. And furthermore, this will concern the values and norms and concerns and customs of the LGBT community. You can let your imagination run wild as to what their norms and customs and values and concerns are, starting kindergarten through the 12th grade. You will be taught in Springfield, Missouri, the LGBT focus and agenda. And I'm still not through. Furthermore, the master plan for the Mayor's Commission on Human Rights says that they have the right to teach this in private schools and, I kid you not, homeschools. Homeschools. Not my words, the words of the Springfield Mayor's Commission on Human Rights says they have the right to come into your home, if you're a homeschooler, to teach your children because your children are stagnant. They are stagnant, that's their word, to new ideas. So it used to be, what we do in our bedroom is our business. Now, it's going to be, what you do in your bedroom is our business. Just the opposite. The ordinance is beyond gay rights. We're not talking about gay rights, which will be decided by the U.S. Supreme Court, perhaps this summer. We're talking about LGBT. We're talking about lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, cross-dressing. It's far beyond gay rights. Radical. And the Mayor's Commission on Human Rights states that they will combine with promo. They're not going to combine with any of the churches here that I've mentioned and the ones that I attend. No, they're going to combine with promo. And of course, the ACLU and PFLAG and promo and all of the other groups now are totaling more than $100,000 that they have fed into this campaign in this community coming up on April the 7th. So in Springfield, the city council couldn't decide what to do, so they had a select committee, a task force, and they studied this matter for 6 months and took hundreds of pages of testimony. In other words, the city council kicked it down the road to a task force. The task force here said, let's wait 3 years and study the matter further. But our city council couldn't wait and went ahead to pass this ordinance. All right, now this is the master plan. This is the master plan of what we know where they're going. So once these ordinances get into force and effect, they tweak them, don't you see? Ever so slightly do they close in on all of us and close in on our churches. Perhaps someday to where some of us will be like Canada, where you're not allowed to make certain statements from the pulpit. But what about the ordinance? The ordinance itself that we're voting on calls for an investigator. I don't know where the investigator comes from, but an investigator will investigate all businesses in Springfield to make sure that you're diversity qualified. And the ordinance says, and I know this will be hard for you to believe because you know about the Fourth and Fifth Amendments. The Fourth Amendment says you have the right, and excuse me for jumping around, I don't follow this. The Fourth Amendment says you have the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. It protects you from the government. Yes. The government can't enter your threshold. That's your castle. But this ordinance that we're voting on, it says the investigator shall, not may, but shall have the right and the power to enter your premises. Shall. What about the Fourth Amendment? What about the First Amendment, right of religious freedom? But I'll let others cover that. The Fourth Amendment is a holy amendment to the Bill of Rights. And they have the power the investigator does to enter your premises they shall, not may, that's an important word in the law, to have access to books, papers, documents, and individuals. So they have the right to come onto your property to look for your papers and your documents and to interview people in your business under this ordinance that we're facing April the 7th. The ACLU state chairman, A.J. Brockelman, said that Springfield, Missouri is a tipping point for the rest of the state with LGBT matters. So, the ordinance also provides that they can take testimony. It's not enough that they can come onto your property, but they can take testimony. And if you refuse to cooperate regarding their full enjoyment of their rights, whatever that is, you can be prosecuted for obstructing someone if you don't fully cooperate with their rights. You can be fined up to $1,000 a day or put in the city jail for up to 6 months. Our jail is so crowded now with murderers and rapists and drug transporters and users. We don't have room. We're not even booking routine lower grade felonies now because we don't have room. Yet we're going to have the city prosecutor worried about civil lawsuits and criminal prosecutions in municipal court. Mercifully, the ordinance that we're voting on does have some exemptions. It exempts men's and women's bowling nights, and it exempts men's and women's bridge nights. So if you bowl or play bridge, you're exempt from this. Don't ask me how that gets in the ordinance, but this is a form, this is an agenda, this is a nationwide, it's in the ordinance. This is trust me, I'm a lawyer. This is a nationwide agenda that's going across the country.
That's right.
And we have right now 13 cities, I believe, in all. I call it the bathroom bill. We have 13 cities in Missouri that have a similar type ordinance, and none of them are as strong as Springfield, Missouri. Not one. And furthermore, I have the ordinance for San Francisco, California. Our ordinance is stronger than that in San Francisco, California. Yet, the Mayor's Commission on Human Rights, the majority of the City Council, and a number of businesses in Springfield have bought in and are drinking the Kool-Aid, thinking, well, I want to be fair, I want to be just, I want to be nice, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Who's against fairness and equality? But what about our constitutional rights of religious freedom? There is a business exemption, or excuse me, a religious or church exemption, and in nearly 900 lines in this ordinance, 11 of the lines, only 11, refer to religious exemptions. And I don't have the time to go through the religious exemptions, but let me tell you, they're tightening the screws. If this ordinance passes, they're tightening the screws here in this city. So, in their effort to believe that everybody ought to be treated equal, in practice they eliminate gender distinctions that are most important in places like restrooms and locker rooms. And so they open the door for the government to treat one group of people, yet deny others, and force us to accept, endorse, and promote ideas that violate our deepest convictions. A number of our leaders here in Springfield, the George Wood, head of the Assembly of God Church, Bishop Johnson, the head of the Catholic Church, and I don't have the time to put up all of their letters in which they're all making individual objections, have spoken out. And I can tell you that they are taking the heat through letters to the editor, calls to talk radio, blogging. One man today had an editorial in the paper, Calvin Morrow, and you've already bought about 25 or 35 extremely negative comments. So you're standing in the gap, that's for sure. And there's only one or two favorable comments, the rest are all negative. So those that are in favor the most of equality and tolerance end up being the least tolerant.
Yeah, that's right.
So today, the American family, and I can tell you, you know that I was prosecuting attorney. You maybe don't know that I am now a criminal felony defense attorney. I'll tell you that at the very end because I was afraid you might walk out. I deal with more sinners probably than you do. And I deal with them on a daily basis. It's a calling that I have, and I'm proud to do what I can to change people's lives. And I can tell you that I can solve most of the problems today without naming every single one if I could get the American traditional scriptural family back together again. In many respects, the family today is totally unrecognizable. A failed sexual revolution that has left a devastating wake of destruction. Our society seems to value today more to do what we want to do. Whatever makes us feel good, do it. And anybody that would try to stop us from that, even though what we want is destructive to ourselves and others, is mocked and vilified. Thank you very much for allowing me. I feel a lot better being able to talk about this ordinance. It is my prayer that there will be discerning Christians. That's what we need. Discerning people of faith.
Yeah.
That will take the time to understand the law that we're getting ready to vote on in this community. And for those of you pastors that live in this area, thank you for the work that you're doing in speaking out. I know 4 or 5 churches spoke out last week. The pastors did. And for all of you here today, God bless each and every one of you and your families and your respective churches. And God bless the United States of America.